You wake up tired. Again. Different day, same weight sitting on your chest. It starts before you open your eyes. The list, the what-ifs, the replay of conversations you can't change, the rehearsal of disasters that haven't happened yet. You tell yourself it's preparation. That worry means you care. But here's the truth nobody says out loud. Worry is the illusion that control is still possible. You think if you think hard enough, plan enough, anticipate enough, you can hold the world steady. You can't. The Stoics knew this 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius sat on a throne and still couldn't control the outcome of his wars, his family, his empire. Epictetus was a slave who owned nothing but his mind. Seneca faced exile, betrayal, death. And yet they were free. Not because they avoided hardship, not because they were emotionless robots reciting clever quotes. They were free because they stopped clinging. They learned to silence the noise, to surrender the outcome, to anchor themselves in the only thing they truly controlled, their response. This video is a quiet reset for your overthinking mind. 6 Stoic truths that make everything work out when you stop worrying. Not because life gets easier, because you get clearer. Drop "I am here now" in the comments if you're ready to come back to the present moment. Watch this when your thoughts feel loud, when the weight feels heavy. Let's begin. Here's the first truth, and it's the foundation of everything. You only control your response, not the outcome. Epictetus called this the dichotomy of control. He said there are things within your power, your thoughts, your actions, your intentions, and things outside your power, other people's opinions, the weather, the economy, whether your email gets answered, whether your effort is rewarded. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control the second category, and they suffer endlessly because of it. You send a text and obsess over the reply. You work late and stress about whether your boss notices. You give your best and worry it won't be enough. You plan everything perfectly and panic when one detail shifts. And here's the trap. You think the anxiety is useful. You think it's helping, but it's not. Worrying about the outcome doesn't change the outcome. It only drains you. Imagine you're holding a rope. On the other end is everything you can't control. The future, other people, fate, luck, circumstance. You're pulling with everything you've got, trying to drag it toward you, trying to make it obey. But the rope doesn't move. It never does. Now imagine you let go. Not because you don't care, but because you realize the rope was never yours to pull. That's Stoicism. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control, and you pour everything into what you can, showing up with integrity, responding with clarity, acting with intention. Marcus Aurelius faced war, plague, betrayal, loss. He couldn't stop any of it, but he could choose how he stood in the middle of it. He could choose courage over panic, presence over paralysis. And so can you. The outcome? It'll be what it is, whether you worry or not, whether you lose sleep or not. But your response, that's yours. That's where your power lives. So stop pulling the rope. Stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Focus on what you can do right now with what's in front of you. That's the first truth. And it changes everything. Here's the second truth, and it's uncomfortable. Most of your suffering exists only in your mind. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. How many times have you been destroyed by something that never actually happened? How many nights have you lost sleep rehearsing arguments that never occurred? How many disasters have you survived in your head that never touched your real life? You've probably suffered the same hardship a dozen times, once in reality and 11 times in your imagination. This is where worry lives, not in the present moment, but in the endless loop of what might happen, what could go wrong, what you should have said, what they might be thinking. You're not suffering because life is unbearable. You're suffering because you're living in your head instead of in reality. Here's an example. You get a text from your boss. "Can we talk tomorrow?" Immediately, your mind spirals. You're getting fired. You messed up. They're disappointed. You replay every mistake you've made in the last month. You imagine the conversation. You imagine cleaning out your desk. You imagine telling your family. And none of it has happened. Tomorrow comes. Your boss wants to congratulate you on a project. But you already suffered. You spent hours in hell for nothing. The Stoics understood this. They knew that most pain is self-inflicted, not the kind that comes from real events, but the kind that comes from catastrophizing, from assuming the worst, from living in the future instead of the present. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Not because the future doesn't matter, but because you're not in the future. You're here, now. And right now, in this exact moment, are you okay? Is there an actual emergency? Probably not. Most of the chaos lives in your mind, and the moment you realize that, you can stop feeding it. You can stop running simulations of disaster. You can stop punishing yourself for things that haven't happened. You can come back to now. That's the second truth. Your mind is powerful, but it's not always telling you the truth. Here's the third truth, and it's the one people resist most. Acceptance is not defeat, it's freedom. You think fighting reality makes you strong. You think refusing to accept what's happening means you're resilient, that you're not giving up. But the Stoics knew better. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve. It doesn't mean you like it. It doesn't mean you stop trying to change what you can change. It means you stop resisting what is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny for what could more aptly fit your needs." Not because everything happens for a reason, but because it has happened, and resisting it only adds suffering on top of pain. Imagine you're standing in a river. The current is strong. You can fight it, exhaust yourself, and still get swept downstream. Or you can stop fighting, find your footing, and move with intention. That's acceptance. You don't control the current, but you stop pretending you do, and in that release you find your power back. Here's what this looks like in real life. You lose your job. You can spend months raging against the injustice, replaying what you could have done differently, cursing the system. Or you can accept that it happened, grieve it, and ask, "What now?" One path keeps you stuck, the other sets you free. A relationship ends. You can spiral into blame, yours, theirs, fate's. Or you can accept that it's over, honor what it was, and start rebuilding. Acceptance doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't resist. And resistance is where worry thrives. It's the constant mental argument with reality, the endless "this shouldn't be happening," the exhausting belief that if you just stress enough, reality will change its mind. It won't. But when you accept what is, you stop wasting energy on what you can't change. You stop carrying the weight of a reality you refuse to acknowledge. And in that space, clarity returns. That's the third truth. Stop fighting the river. Learn to move with it. Here's the fourth truth. Your attention is your most valuable resource. You're worried because you're giving your attention to the wrong things. You're focused on what might happen instead of what's happening. You're replaying what you can't change instead of acting on what you can. You're obsessing over other people's opinions instead of living by your own values. And every moment you spend there is a moment stolen from your actual life. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He wrote, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." Most of what consumes your mind doesn't deserve your attention, but you give it anyway, out of habit, out of fear, out of the belief that constant vigilance will protect you. It won't. Here's the shift. Imagine your attention is a spotlight. Right now, it's scattered across 1,000 stages, past mistakes, future fears, other people's judgments, worst-case scenarios, things you can't control. What if you pulled that spotlight back? What if you aimed it at this moment, at what's real, at what you can actually do right now? Everything would change. When you worry, you're essentially borrowing suffering from the future, a future that may never arrive. You're paying interest on a debt that doesn't exist. But when you pull your attention back to the present, you realize, right now, in this moment, you're okay. There's no emergency. There's just you, here with choices to make. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And your reaction begins with your attention. Where you place it determines your experience. If you place it on fear, you'll live in fear. If you place it on what you can control, your actions, your integrity, your response, you'll find peace. That's the fourth truth. Stop scattering your attention across things you can't change. Bring it back to what's real. Bring it back to now. That's where your power is. Here's the fifth truth, and it's strangely comforting. Everything is temporary, including your worry. You feel stuck, like this anxiety will last forever, like this weight will never lift, like the chaos in your mind is your new permanent state. But it's not. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." The Stoics practiced memento mori, the meditation on mortality, not to be morbid, but to remember that nothing lasts, not pain, not hardship, not worry. And if nothing lasts, why let the temporary steal your peace? Think back to a year ago. What were you worried about then? Can you even remember? Probably not. Or if you can, it feels distant now, almost irrelevant. That thing that felt life or death a year ago has passed. It didn't destroy you. You're still here. And the thing you're worried about right now? A year from now, it'll be the same. A memory, a moment that came and went. This isn't about dismissing your feelings, it's about perspective. Marcus Aurelius, facing the collapse of his empire, wrote, "Time is a river of passing events. Everything flows, nothing stays." Your worry feels heavy because you're treating it like it's permanent, but it's not. It's weather. It's a storm passing through. Here's the practice. When anxiety grips you, pause. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years, in 5 months, in 5 days? Sometimes the answer is yes. And then you act. You do what you can with what's in your control. But most of the time, the answer is no. And in that no, there's freedom. Because if it won't matter, why let it consume you now? The Stoics didn't ignore suffering. They contextualized it. They saw it within the vastness of time, and that perspective made it bearable. So take a breath. This feeling, it's temporary. The worry, it'll pass. Life is long, but each moment is short. Don't waste it trapped in your head. That's the fifth truth. Here's the sixth truth, the summit. Peace comes from within, not from circumstances. You've been chasing peace in the wrong place. You think if you just get the promotion, the relationship, the house, the approval, the certainty, then you'll be okay. Then you'll stop worrying. But the Stoics knew better. Epictetus said, "There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will." Peace isn't out there. It's not waiting for you at the end of some checklist. It's not conditional on life finally going your way. Peace is an inside job. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He had wealth, power, influence, and yet he wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." He didn't find peace in his throne. He found it in his mind. You've been waiting for life to calm down so you can feel calm, but life will never calm down. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be things outside your control. There will always be reasons to worry. But you don't have to. Because peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from how you meet imperfect ones. It comes from anchoring yourself in your values, not your outcomes. From acting with integrity, regardless of reward. From knowing you did your best, even if the result wasn't what you hoped. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." Not because the future doesn't matter, but because right now is all you have. And right now you can choose clarity over chaos, presence over panic, action over paralysis. That's the final truth. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you build inside yourself, one choice at a time. And it's always available. Not when life gets easier, but when you stop demanding that it be different. That's freedom. That's Stoicism. That's the summit. So here we are. 6 truths. Not because they're easy, but because they work. You only control your response, not the outcome. Most of your suffering exists only in your mind. Acceptance is not defeat, it's freedom. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Everything is temporary, including your worry. Peace comes from within, not from circumstances. These aren't just ideas. They're practices. They're choices you make every single day. The Stoics weren't philosophers hiding in ivory towers. They were people facing real hardship, war, exile, betrayal, loss, death. And they chose clarity anyway. Not because life was kind to them, but because they refused to let life control their inner world. You have that same choice. Every time worry grips you, you can ask, "Is this within my control?" Every time your mind spirals, you can ask, "Is this real, or am I suffering in imagination?" Every time life doesn't go your way, you can ask, "Can I accept this and move forward anyway?" You're not broken. You're not weak. You're human. And being human means you'll worry sometimes. You'll overthink. You'll feel the weight. But you don't have to stay there. You can come back to the present. You can release the rope. You can stop resisting reality and start working with it. Life doesn't work out because you worry less. It works out because you get clearer. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control. You stop living in your head. You stop demanding that the world bend to your will. And in that release, everything flows. So take a breath. Let go. And trust that you're exactly where you need to be. Right here. Right now. If you're ready to stop clinging and start living with clarity, leave a comment below. I release the rope. And don't forget to subscribe to The Stoic Mode and turn on notifications. This is just the beginning of your journey back to peace. Thank you for being here. Breathe deep. Let go. Live clear.